What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised Geek. This week, we discuss this week's episode of HBO's The Last of Us. So let's get into it. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Don. How we doing, man?
Chris, what is up today? My friend, we are doing good as you sip from your Chicago Bears mug. Number one pick in the draft, Chicago Bears.
Yeah, something to celebrate at the end of playoffs, right? Oh, the Bears suck bad enough that Houston Texans showed them up.
That 3-14 season has to add up to something. It's the number one pick.
Hopefully they do something with it.
But anyway, I'm okay. I'm good here on a Monday evening. Obviously, we're recording on a Monday instead of our usual weekend because we're talking The Last of Us and it doesn't come on until Sunday night. So adjusting to this recording schedule that happens after we've both had a full day of work, I'm sure. But hey, man, we want to do it because this shit is fun and this show is great. So that's why we're here. I am okay. How are you?
Can't complain. Like I said, just kind of full day of working and taking care of myself and taking care of a house and just staying alive for another day.
That's all you can do.
Right.
That is all you can do.
Just pushing through to get ready to talk about The Last of Us, episode 2, titled Infected, which is what you all are here to listen to.
Not the Bad Religion song, Infected. Wait, what was that song called?
It was called Infected.
Oh, that song's so good. They should have like worked that into this episode. That would have been dope.
That would have been dope. Bad Religion does not pop up in enough stuff. I was watching, I don't know how it happened, but I watched the Clerks trilogy last week.
You're just going to drop that in real casually.
But in the first one of the things that movie was really known for was that soundtrack. And like listening to it now with nostalgia ears was really cool. But Bad Religion popped up in that movie during one of the scenes. And I was like, man, you don't hear Bad Religion just popping up in movies that often.
Nah, they're not a very soundtracky band. Nobody really goes seeking out Bad Religion for their movie soundtrack, but they should. I think they should. Anyway,
it worked. It worked well for Clerks in 1990, whatever it was.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyway, that's enough Clerks talk.
No more Clerks talk.
Yeah, said it enough times. Last of Us, episode 2, titled Infected, like the Bad Religion song, was pretty outstanding television, man. I'm digging this show, Last of Us. It broke all kinds of records last week with the premiere. I think they had 4.7 million viewers, and they said by the end of the week, they were already topped 10 million views. I can talk. 10 million views for episode 1, broke all kinds of record. I think House of the Dragon is the only other premiere that was bigger than it in the past 10 years. So definitely a bona fide hit. And then they've already said today, which is one of the benefits of recording when we do, is, and I closed the tab, but it had 5.5 million views for last night's episode. So it definitely had a large growth in viewership.
Yeah, I did see that. It was up 22% from
5.7 million viewers.
And that's just day one. And, it's going to get more plays as the week goes on. So, yeah, man, that's cool. Most shows, they said the ratings will dip after the premiere a little bit and maybe rise up again, once the finale comes or whatever. But, yeah, shows usually don't have the luxury of the second episode being higher than premiere. So that's cool. And of course, House of Dragon is going to be number one because it's Game of Thrones and everyone already knows that. Last of Us was more of a, you know about it, but you don't know about it. It's still a new property to a lot of people. So it being second most in the past 10 years is saying something. So yeah, man, the hype is real and people got to be liking it if they're going back for more plus more than what watch the first one. So
it's definitely made the rounds. Yeah. Awesome. It all but guarantees at this point that we're getting that second season and we're going to see this story through to its conclusion, which is awesome.
Because that's something you always worry about with properties you like. And when they get adapted, man, I hope people watch this because it just happened to me with Paper Girls last year. And I'm sure it's happened countless
1899.
Well, right. But it's
for a Netflix show.
Yeah. But like Paper Girls being a comic book I loved, and then watching the first season and liking it and being like, I hope people are watching this and this gets a second season. And of course it did not. And I'll never see it finished as an adaptation. But yeah, this one seems like it has a good chance. Obviously, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked to hear an announcement for a renewal like anytime now.
Who wrote Paper Girls?
Brian K. Vaughan.
So he has a terrible track record.
He does for adaptations. Yeah, he writes fantastic comic books
because he did
Why the Last Man?
Why the Last Man, which didn't make it, and didn't he also do Jupiter's Legacy?
No, that was Jupiter's Legacy was Mark Millar.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Mark Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just kind of enjoying that track record. That was kind of crazy to see. I'm sure I'm sure Brian Vaughan's got more stuff going on.
Yeah, he's had some bad luck, and he's writing Saga, which will never be adapted, which we've talked about, but
nor should it. But Last of Us, perfect to be adapted, and this sheer care. We talked about this last week when we were talking about the premiere, and it was a huge conversation piece throughout the week. I kept seeing online, which was Halo being adapted. And nowhere close to this type of care was put into that story, and it's shown. And it's crazy that, if you have faith in these video games, you have a built-in audience on top of being able to bring in casual viewers for a good story. And you can do that. You don't have to try to change what an adaptation is. The Witcher TV show has gotten all kinds of complaints for changing the source material. As I just said, Halo was. It's just all these adaptations, and people want to get their hands on an established IP and then change what people like about it in hopes of reaching a wider audience, and it never works out. And Last of Us sitting right here, just doing it right.
Yeah, it just goes to show that, people make fun of video games and adults who play video games and this and that, and mature themes in video games is for whatever. We've been fighting those stereotypes our whole lives, but comic books are adapted into movies all the time nowadays, and some of them win Oscars. Like Heath Ledger wins an Oscar, and Angela Bassett just wins a Golden Globe the other day, and
be nominated for an Oscar in probably 6 hours or something stupid.
Yeah, Matt Reeves makes the Batman, and it's critically acclaimed and one of the best movies of last year. So if you can adapt a comic book into something serious and that people will take seriously and gets recognized as by the general public, why can't you do the same thing with a video game? If you're Neil Druckmann and HBO, obviously, that you can do that. And this is just proof of that. A video game adaptation doesn't have to be goofy and silly and cheesy or some of the things they've been in the past. This shows that if people truly care about the source material and want to make a, quality adaptation of a video game, it can be done. So we're living it right now.
Yeah. And what's fun about it is that you can also go in to a little bit more detail. Like in video games, technically speaking, it happens, but you usually don't get cutscenes that don't involve your character. So you don't get a lot of information unless the main character is getting it. So you were with Joel, attached to Joel. You were either playing as Joel or someone close to him throughout the entire series. So you don't get that information of what's going on in the world. So with this here, with the TV show, we could do scenes like the way they opened this episode with being in Indonesia and learning about the virus and where it came from. And then even learning the defense for it, which was bomb the city to try to stop it from spreading. And just to kind of get that. And it even answered my question last week when I said, do buildings rot in 20 years? Well, yeah, they do when they get bombed. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that looks like a wasteland because it was a war zone at some point 20 years ago. So it makes sense that it would look like that. So it answered my question. So thank you, HBO writers, Neil Druckmann, for making that make sense. But you to be able to dive into just the virus more, or the spores, the fungus more, the cause of it, and really have some more explanation is been fun, and kind of been from someone who knows this story kind of almost inside out. It's fun. You just got done replaying it for the third time.
Yeah.
And the fact that you still are just like, yeah, I want to watch this show that is currently being adapted.
Yeah. It's definitely giving you some backstory that the games did not allow. And I don't think that they're probably done doing that yet. I feel like we're going to get glimpses back into, you know, some of Joel's past and maybe Ellie's and some of the other characters that just we weren't privy to in just playing the games. So yeah, I'm definitely for that. This form of storytelling is really opening up some paths that we didn't have just being fans of the game and playing through those. So that's really cool. I know you mentioned the opening scene there. I just want to say, so far 2 episodes in, like 2 for 2 on opening scenes. Like, and these are opening scenes that, you know, spoilers. We should have said that before, but you guys know if you listen to our last episode, we're doing spoilers for this episode, but not the game, but this episode. Yeah, those 2 opening scenes were kind of made for this show, not in the games, and just another just captivating first 5 minutes leading into the opening sequence, like edge of your seat, kind of not even scary or action packed, just the tenseness of the room and the atmosphere and the way the lines are being delivered, and kind of just the, you know, this entire scene is in a foreign language and it still hit me hard, just like watching it and be like, oh man, this world is serious.
just getting a glimpse of what happened.
Yeah,
obviously you had the opening in last episode, and then you jump 20 years and then the story takes off. So like I said, from somewhat people who've played the game, that's all you see. Yeah, I know, outside of maybe some like newspaper clippings, or I mean, you can piece together ideas, but really they don't give you much of what happened in those 20 years. You're just kind of in that moment, and you can correct me if I'm wrong with that, since you played it more recently than I have.
No, it's true.
So yeah, being able to dive into this world deeper is super exciting for me.
And me.
Good.
and I'm sure many others who've enjoyed these games, and and for everybody.
Now, and hopefully, once again, we both played this game multiple times. This is something we've been super excited about. So if your experience is only for the show, definitely let us know what you think about it. RaiseTheGeek@gmail.com, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, we're everywhere. Raise the Geek.
We're all around you.
We're all around you like spores. Nope, no spores in this one. But definitely one of the things that just was blowing my mind watching this episode was the sets. Like the pure detail that went into the set design to make it look exactly like the damn game is insane.
Yeah.
Like that museum was spot on. The hotel, I mean, I felt like all of these moments were just like done with so much care and detail that it's amazing.
Yeah, it was basically pulled straight from the game and just put up on screen in live action, you know, mixed with kind of seamless CGI. Obviously, it's a mix of both, but I mean, it's not one of those where you feel like you're looking at CGI. You just feel like you're looking at something big, and you know, the scope of what they've kind of put on the screen is pretty crazy. Especially for those of us who've played the game, like you said, and it is basically when there's an early scene in this episode where it's, you know, just Ellie and Tess and Joel in the hotel room when like Ellie kind of wakes up from her sleep and they're watching her, and like the room they were in is like, I just played this game in that room somehow. Like it looks exactly like a room in a, you know, rundown, desolate, weeds and plant life have overgrown, and the windows are broken and furniture's flipped over, and like it looks exactly like what I've just played. I was like, this is amazing. They did this. The set design for this episode of being like outside the wall, they kind of just went above and beyond to the point of almost being like a 1-for-1 of the game. Like we kind of said a little bit about some things last episode, but they took it even further. So yeah, tip of the hat, clap, standing ovation for whoever's responsible for what's going on here.
Yeah, because I'm digging it. For I guess as a quick catch up, which we probably should have done already, we'll do better next week. Quick setup. This episode obviously picked up right after episode 1, where we had Ellie and Tess and Joel getting grouped up with Ellie and being kind of tasked with delivering her to the Fireflies at the capital of Boston. And this episode was that journey. So it was the three of them traveling from the the easy.
Yeah, or quarantine zone or whatever.
Quarantine zone. The quarantine zone to the capital. So going through like basically downtown, destroyed, ravaged Boston while they're getting to know each other, learning about the fallout of last episode and realizing that Ellie is important and that she actually is infected or isn't infected, but is. And Joel having a hard time coming to terms with that, and Tess slowly by the end coming to terms with that and realizing that this girl is a beacon of hope. So that was kind of what we covered in this episode. So definitely well done. Nice, almost small scale storytelling, very character driven, but within a giant world.
Yeah. And just the three of those actors. I mean, they were the only actors in the entire thing, minus the, other guys. Right. But the three human actors, except for the opening scene as well. But yeah, this was all just kind of about that journey that you and I have lived through playing the game, when you kind of just setting off into the outside the wall, the safety of the wall, and kind of not knowing what's coming. And yeah, it was good,
100%.
Or Pedro, I was going to call him Pablo Pascal because my wife accidentally did the other day. I almost said Pablo Pascal. I was like, that's not right. Pedro Pascal and oh my God, what's her name?
Bella Ramsey.
Damn it, Bella Ramsey. And you know the name of the actress playing Tess better than I do.
Anna Torv.
Right. Whew.
Cringe.
You saved me there. But yeah, the three of them, doing great work again, I think. We're starting to see the relationship between Joel and Ellie, kind of the seeds of it start. But yeah, great performances and a good episode. I know you asked me very early on what I thought about this episode. I really loved this episode. I thought it was great. Some things, we'll talk about as we get into it, but I thought it was a really good episode overall, didn't you?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. I was ready. I was there. It was a good length. I was happy with it. I have no complaints. Like I said, blown away by the detail and just bringing this story to life while still making some differences and doing some stuff. Now, one of the things, because I know that there were people who were just like zombies with the first episode, and everything was very zombie. Well, in this episode, we got the clickers, the debut of the clickers, which are more than zombies. I personally never really thought of them as zombies. They're creatures.
Yeah, they're zombies on crack. Creatures.
Yeah, and they're 100% on crack. Man, I forgot his name. Walking Dead. What's the main dude's name?
I was going to say Shane. Rick.
Yeah, Rick couldn't handle these zombies.
No.
They were zombies. Like these clickers would tear up his crew. Yeah. But that museum scene and just seeing the level of practical effects mixed with CGI and the way that they had those actors doing that was harrowing stuff, man. That was solid entertaining right there in the middle of that episode when those clickers showed up.
Well, people who played the game and us, we are people who played the game, know that clickers are synonymous with The Last of Us. It's kind of like the visual you get of when you think of an antagonist of The Last of Us games, you think of a clicker. They're meaner, harder to kill, scarier than any other regular, runner creature. So finally being introduced to them, not finally, because I know it's only episode 2, but it took us to episode 2 to finally get our full real look at clickers. How did you feel about them? Like in comparison, did they nail it? Is it 100% like the game, or is it better? Like, is it more than you expected? Just kind of your first thoughts when you finally heard that trademark noise coming from down the hall. You're like, oh shit, here we go.
Here we go. I was waiting for it because of the museum setting, and I remember that scene because it was terrifying in the game. I liked him better because I didn't have to deal with him. I just had to watch it. And I could see it. When I'm playing, it does not look like anything remotely capable. It's me panicking the whole time, trying to either sneak or run and hide and flail my limbs and hope that they die. So it doesn't look like anything that anybody wants to watch. And I'm feeling that. So I enjoyed them better in the show because I didn't have to deal with them. But they looked outstanding.
I hear that because in the game, they are a pain in the ass when those things start coming in. And sometimes you got to deal with more than one. You're like, Jesus Christ, I'm not going to get out of here alive.
Yeah, I'm just throwing bottles and running.
All you need is one to grab you and it's over. You can't get away. Unless you become a shiv master and then you can shiv your way out of it. Those who know. But yeah, man, I thought they were great.
Make shivs in this show.
just Pablo Pascal building a shiv on his knees. Out of some.
There's a workbench over there. Let's make some
scissors he found in the corner. Yeah,
resources.
Man, I'm glad.
Resources.
I'm glad they didn't change them too much. Because they're iconic looking from the game, and then like even the costume designer guy that they had at the end of this episode was like, we came up with 100 different ideas, and we were going to do whatever, but we just kept coming back to the design that was already there by Neil Druckmann and what they did in the game because it was just too perfect to kind of go away from that. And so I'm real happy about that, the appearance of them, and at least these actors they got to portray the clickers in this one did it perfectly, like the movements and the way of them like sliding around the room and kind of like twitching and all that. And I believe they got the voice actors from the game who did the original clicking sounds to be in this show too. So that was perfect. It was just like top to bottom, head to toe, perfect representation of those creatures. And I had a lot of fun with it, and I hope everybody did. That was great.
Yeah, they were creepy. I liked it. I can't wait to see more situations that they're put in and they have to deal with because it was crazy seeing just all of the infected in this episode. Now there were some differences to the games, and I'm curious how you felt about some of that. One of the big ones is that there's no more spores in the game. You would find areas where you had to put on gas masks and not breathe in the spores. Well, they took that away in this. Are you going to miss the spores?
Not necessarily, I don't think.
I hated those sections in the game, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, they were always like scary. I mean, we played this game to be scared. That was part of the fun. But like every time you did go into a spore area, you're like, God, now what the fuck's going to jump out at me from one of these corners? So yeah, I'm good with it. And it makes sense to the show why they're not involved. And that's another thing they kind of did delve into at the end of this. And like the behind the scenes was, spores in a video game you can get away with because it's a video game. But if this were real life, if there's spores in the air, they would be everywhere. They wouldn't just be confined.
Spores in the air.
Right. It wouldn't just be confined to certain little tunnels they go to. And like Joel would put on his mask only in the spore room. And then as soon as you're out of the spore room, you can take it off. If there were spores everywhere, you'd have every actor in this show wearing a gas mask 100% of the time, which they did not want to do. It was just completely understandable. You can't make a show like that. So I get it, and it doesn't really bother me. I think it's like a good change for television. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And they have something to kind of replace it with these tendrils.
Yeah, right? By having the large fungus networks that are going through the town and through the area that can basically communicate with the infected. I buy it. It works.
Yeah. Same way.
I like it. It's creepy. It was creepy when they decided to wake up. We heard a noise miles away. We're going to wake up the horde.
Yeah, it kind of makes them scarier, that they can come find you from anywhere. You got to be extra careful everywhere you are because you never know when a herd of these creatures are going to come running at you because you stepped on the wrong fungus or something.
Right.
So yeah, it just adds another level. There's levels to this shit, man.
There are definitely levels, and I'm curious to see as we progress through the story how they use that and how that becomes a big deal. So I'm definitely excited about that. During this episode, during that clicker attack, we did have Ellie get bit again, which was hilarious because she was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, of course it was me.
Yeah, at least it was me. And you're just like, "Oh man, yeah, Ellie, she's cracking me up. She's growing on me." Bella Ramsey, I'm digging it. She has some good line delivery. I enjoyed her getting the hotel room, and then that skeleton jumping out did genuinely make me jump.
Well, she made me laugh the first time during that scene when like she was singing or doing something weird, like how Ellie does in the video games. Ellie's just like a little strange person sometimes, and like Joel was like, "You're a weird kid," and she was like, "You're a weird kid."
Yeah,
that kind of made me laugh. I was like, that is something Ellie would say. So yeah.
But I liked, that didn't happen in the game, Ellie getting bit again, but I really like them using it this time to help. So Joel can see that she's immune.
Right.
I like that use of that and going, he kept waiting that whole episode for her to turn. And now he's seen that she's gotten bit and it hasn't changed and that this might be real. And that was really well done, I thought.
Well, I think that's also like maybe Neil Druckmann fixing something from the game that he did that maybe he didn't like. Like in the game, it works out the same way where she's bit and she just kind of tells them, "Hey, I'm immune," and they kind of just, I don't want to say brush past it, but Joel is just easier to go along with it. The more believable thing is to have him very skeptical of that, and then in order for him to get past it, he does have to see it with his own eyes. So that they kind of fix that in the show, which makes sense. And now he doesn't have to keep questioning it as they move forward. He's seen it. She's not changed. So yeah, a good use of a little tweak, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was clever because I was like, wait, where are they going with this? And then I put it together and I was like, nice. Yeah. Nice job. Nice job, HBO. I like it.
Yep.
And then realistically, the big thing to talk about is Tess. R.I.P. Rip Tess. R.I.P.
Spoiler.
I didn't feel like that was coming yet. I don't know. I thought she was going to be in more episodes before they did this. I knew it was coming. I knew she didn't, but it felt like she was with us longer in the game than in the show. So I kind of felt like we had a few episodes before we'd get there, but nope. We got there quick. I was like, well, there we are. Here we go. Because I forgot that it was the clicker attack that did get her. Because you just do more. They obviously had stuff with humans that they didn't do in the show since they wanted to limit the human on human violence.
Yeah.
Plus, we got a bunch coming, so I'm sure
you would think.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of maybe can tend to agree with you. I thought maybe Tess might go a little further in the show, even though, in the game, she does kind of go early on as well. But like you said, it does feel like you're with her a little longer, but that's because it's a video game. And we were legitimately with her for 8 hours or something. Right. We spend 40 hours on a video game and this is a 9-hour show. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. So yeah, this was one of the big moments from the game and they kind of made it a big deal in the show too. It's always, HBO and these kind of shows are always notorious for you don't know who's going to live and who's going to die. So when somebody that you're getting to know does bite the bullet, it's always like, it's hard.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, but there's definitely some differences in the way they did it here than in the game, right?
Oh yeah, I liked. That's what I was going to say. I liked how they did this almost better than the game. The game worked. They were being chased by the military and she was holding back. And this time it was the infected that got her and she got to blow up the thing. And we got the really weird makeout session with the infected. And she got to use a lighter that Nathan Drake had in Uncharted 4, like a lot of Easter eggs and stuff. It was just a cool, like I said, kind of big scale thing without getting too deep into the world yet. So I thought it gave us an idea of how these infected communicate, how they function, how they work, and then we blew up a whole bunch of them. So I kind of almost liked Tess's finale a little bit better from what I can recall. Like I said, it's been a minute since I played the first one.
It kind of served the same purpose of her character kind of coming full circle. Like she's a badass and her and Joel are on the same page, but the way they see Ellie's immunity to the virus, they take in different ways. Like Joel is still kind of slow to come around and see the big picture.
Yeah.
But Tess kind of knows right away, like this girl, us getting her to some kind of, get her to the Fireflies and get them to do what they need to do so we can maybe come up with a vaccine that we've been missing in this world, and the world's gone to shit for 20 years. If this girl is the key, like Tess finally sees that and she's like kind of all in, even after she's bitten and she knows that she's going to die. At some point, she's willing to say, no, Joel, if like you care for me at all or anything, if any of this mattered, like you have to take her and go complete this. So like her character, regardless of how long she's in the show, she came, full circle with how she acts and feels about the world and what's going on. So yeah, I'm totally for it.
Well, if anything, after she got infected and she knew she was going to die, she leaned into Ellie's story heavy and wanted to make sure Joel knew, like, hey, look at me, look at her. This is real. You need to get her where she needs to go. At least stick with her a little bit longer. Get her where she needs to go, because this is real, and don't let me die for nothing. And this is my chance to make sure that, she died with hope, which I think they said that at the end of the show, but I 100% agree with that. Like that just gave her a good arc for only being in 2 episodes of this show. She will be like missed and felt. Her presence is definitely going to be felt as Joel progresses through his story with Ellie.
Most definitely. And like you said, the kind of the big change there, her being killed by the creatures instead of the militaries. I'm fine with that. One nitpick, if I do have about this episode, is just that weird, slow French kiss from like a creature. And I know we were kind of talking about it a little bit before we started recording, but like, even if she was infected or whatever, just like it kind of just goes against what I would expect one of those creatures to do to a human. Now you kind of
rip apart,
right? I feel well, not even a rip apart, but her like maybe just her taking out a bunch of them and then they just hoard onto her and that's how she goes down, and then the bomb explodes that was in her hand. Or that's when she throws the lighter down and blows it all up. But something about the slow, weird, like I know they kind of wanted to exaggerate these creatures are killing you with the tendrils in their mouth. They're not eating you. They're like infecting you with what's infected them. It was kind of like a clear shot of that, but it's just kind of strange. I never expected to see one of those creatures like slowly lean in, to a person.
Well, and I think, like I said, and we were kind of talking about it, like you said, is I felt like that was more of her being welcomed into the collective because he could tell that she was infected. So I think it was like, I think there's still going to be plenty of people ripped apart as you're expecting. But I feel like because she was infected, at least like I said, that's what I thought of. It was still weird. It was almost creepier because it was that slow, almost intimate way instead of just because I kept waiting for, the thing turned and looked at her and then started walking, and I kept waiting for it to like scream and run at her. And she was getting, because that's what I was expecting, because that's what I was used to. So the fact that this thing walked up to her and then just made out with her was kind of
strange.
It was strange. But it almost was creepier because I wasn't expecting it. But that's my explanation. I don't really know. They didn't talk about it. I haven't read anything about it yet to know if there's a deeper meaning or if there's something I'm missing. So I dug it, but I can definitely, it was different. So it could be one of those changes that, I mean, if all of this infected are running up to you to make out with you, that could make this show or give it a different vibe.
Yeah, I'm all here for the changes. That works. That one just was not saying it was bad. It was just unexpected, and I was like kind of scratching my head a little bit. But still great. Still a great way to kind of do it. Let her go out on her own terms and be a badass and take them all down. So
It was a great parting. Any last words for Tess?
Tess, we barely knew ye. You're the badass that didn't get a chance to continue on this journey, but we'll always hold a special place in our heart for old Tess. So
yep,
that's about it.
Now we get old Bill next week.
It was in the trailers. Old Nick Offerman.
Welcome Nick Offerman as Bill.
And which is another thing that's cool is the character who's playing Frank, who looks like the actor playing Frank, who, is in the game, but it looks like he's going to have a bigger role in this show than what he did in the game, is being played by Murray Bartlett. And I love that guy. He was on White Lotus season 1 as like the hotel manager. And he was Armand. It's Armand. Yeah. And he was also just in Welcome to Chippendales, which I watched. And he was fantastic in that. So when I saw him pop up that he's playing Frank in this show, I was like, yes, that guy's so good. So him and Nick Offerman together should be, I'm not saying it's going to be fun. This is a sad, dour show. So I'm sure they won't be cracking a ton of jokes, but man, I'm looking forward to that.
I didn't recognize him without that White Lotus mustache.
I'm telling you. Yeah, but
looks like a completely different person.
A little bit.
Yeah. No, yeah, I love that dude. So yeah. Super pumped about that. So that's definitely, him and Nick Offerman together. This is going to be as fun as the show can get.
Right. If there's any modicum of fun to be had in the show, it's going to be with those two guys. So let's see.
Yeah. So you have any parting words on episode 2 now that we're 2 in? Anything that you long for the ride?
Oh, most definitely. I knew I would be. It's just, I'm not saying it's getting better because the premiere was fantastic too. It's just 2 great episodes back to back. So that's very encouraging for the remainder of this show for me. And man, I'm totally here for it. It's appointment television, like we kind of said. Got to watch it on Sunday night or as soon as possible. I'm already dreading the Super Bowl because I know I'm not going to be able to watch it till that Monday. But I took the day off of work that Monday, so I'm going to watch it bright and early that Monday morning. But yeah, man, I know. Damn you, Super Bowl. But man, I'm having a ton of fun and kind of watching one of my favorite games come to life on screen is a blast. So good time. You parting words?
This is something I never thought I'd see. It's so fun knowing the story and watching along with this. And usually it can go. Usually that goes poorly when you know a story and then you watch an adaptation, whether it's a book, whether it's a game, whether it's a comic book, no matter what it is, you always end up watching it with different sets of eyes and be like, they should have done this and they should have done that. And this, you just haven't gotten it. And it's what you wanted to see is up on that screen. And it's just amazing to see and to be able to share it. I love being able to watch this with people who haven't played the game. And just to talk to them at work. Sit and watch with them. And like, this is something that I've been talking about for 10 years that they can now understand what we're talking about. And like I said, talking about it with people at work, knowing what's going to happen, like it rarely happens to the level of this. And it's a lot of fun for me to be able to do this. So I'm having a blast. Like I said, as much fun as you can have watching The Last of Us, because like you said, it's not a romp.
No, by any means.
But I enjoying what they're doing. I've enjoyed the changes. They still got me on the edge of my seat. Learning more about this world that I love is just awesome. So I'm here for it. And I'm keep wondering how long it's going to be before I start playing the game again.
Probably sooner than you think. You never know. But
100% sooner than I think. I'm sure it'll be here before I know it. So, we are here to talk about The Last of Us. As we said, we're going to talk about each episode each week. We might pepper in some other news if anything else happens, or we'll figure out what to do once Ant-Man comes out here in a couple weeks. And we have to, obviously talk about that. So we definitely have more stuff. If you want to hear our opinion on anything else that's happening out in the world, make sure you shoot us a message, join the conversation over on Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube at Raise the Geek. Like and subscribe to the channel over there. We're starting to grow a community over on YouTube where you can see us. Hi, YouTube.
I forget that sometimes. Oh, hi. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, hi, YouTube. Definitely hit us up, Raise the Geek. We are easy to find. If you want to shoot us an email, raisethegeek@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, follow, rate, all of that good stuff wherever you can. It helps us out and gets our show out there to the masses. So thank you, each and every one of you, for making it this far into the episode.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We hope you are enjoying The Last of Us as much as we are. Like Chris said, we will be back to talk about it again next week, obviously.
Episode 3, here we come. But that's going to do it for us this week. So for Raise the Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
And thanks for checking out the show,
where geek is all we speak.